All right. I'm pissed off. And it's not for the reason you might expect. It's not for the fact that the team lost. It's for all of the discussion that I have seen post this loss. Drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm trying to hit 100K on this channel by the end of the playoffs, so your subscription would be much appreciated. The Bulls just lost to the Milwaukee Bucks. Just drove home from my parents' place because I watched the game with my dad. And yeah, it was a tough loss. However, a lot of the takes that I have seen in response to this loss, especially from Bulls fans, have pissed me the fuck off. And it really makes me wonder if we are watching the same game. I am not, however, going to accuse them of not having watched the game, as a bunch of people did when I said something they disagreed with, but whatever. So where do we begin? The Bulls narrowly lost to the Milwaukee Bucks in a game where, let me find the stats here real quick. Zach LaVine shot 6 for 19. Nikola Vucevic shot 9 for 27. DeMar DeRozan shot 6 for 25. The team as a whole shot 32% from the field and 20% from three, only getting 19 free throw attempts. Yeah. Well, they did shoot 17 for 19 from the line. But, oh my god, what a fucking awful shooting game. And yet, they almost beat the Milwaukee Bucks. And mind you, this is a series that a lot of people, including myself, have basically said probably like a gentleman's sweep or just a straight up sweep. And to go into this game and compete at the level that the Bulls did, you would think the takeaway would be pretty good fucking job. Now, this was a pretty much a must-win game, being that they played as well as they did, or I guess as bad as they did, but we're still in it. It's kind of weird, that semantic, but ultimately, either way, I don't know how you don't walk away from this game very positive as you're a Bulls fan, relative to, you know, at least as positive as you can be with a playoff loss, right? Nikola Vucevic has gotten the brunt of this. He missed a really huge layup at the end of the game, and there is no excusing that. You don't miss fucking layups, and you deserve to get slandered for that. However, even though Vucevic was 9 for 27, in a game where the team as a whole shoots 30%, he probably had the best performance out of anybody, because he played really, really good defense, which he's not one to do typically. He got a lot of big rebounds. He had 17 in this game. He had some fantastic passes. The main one that stands out is his pass to Alex Caruso. And, like, sure, he shot poorly, but so did everybody else. But yet everybody's slandering him. DeMar DeRozan, he honestly deserves all the slander he's getting. Zach LaVine started off the game really well, and then as it became very evident that DeMar DeRozan was not going to save them, Zach ended up having to take over offensively, and it did not work. He took a shot that really pissed me off to close the game, because it was a bad shot, and it was kind of like, hey, are you trying to prove all of your haters correct? Because this shot selection and this decision-making is the exact problem a lot of people have with you on top of your defense. But I'm going to be all over the place in this one. Going to be honest. I just am. Again, I don't know how you're not happy with this one, because the Bulls very, very narrowly beat the Bucks. And really the main thing that stands out to me is the defense. The way the Bulls played defense today is the best fucking defense they have played this entire calendar year. It's not even close. They defended Giannis. For the lack of good Giannis personnel, they defended Giannis impeccably. Now, I understand you're going to look at his box score and see 27 on 10 for 19 shooting. Obviously, that's not amazing, but not terrible. But the 5 turnovers, the fact that a lot of those shots that he took were difficult-ass shots that otherwise wouldn't have been had the Bulls not played fantastic defense. I'm telling you, if you watch this game, The Bulls obviously didn't shut down Giannis, and there were multiple possessions where he found the hole and he was able to get through it, but they did a good enough job at making him more of a passer than a scorer, and a lot of the passes that he was kicking out, they were not making the shot, or it was a turnover. They did a really good job just making Giannis a little flustered, and anytime he got the ball, instant double team. Vucevic did a great job of positioning himself around the basket. Whoever was defending him one-on-one did a good job of putting pressure on him in the post. And yeah, basically, really good job on Giannis. Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday both played fucking awful. And that was because I mentioned Zach LaVine's defense earlier. He actually played really good defensively in this game, in the one-on-one anyways. And Alex Caruso, whether he was on Middleton or Drew, or that he was primarily on Drew, just lockdown every time. He played unbelievable defense in this one. And honestly, I said that Vucevic was probably the best performance of the day. It's actually probably Alex Caruso, and that's with a 7-3, 2-2 box score. But the small plays that he was making everywhere were just phenomenal. Other standouts, Kobe White was really impactful. He helped the Bulls take the lead at one point. And I will mention, the Bulls were down 16 in the first quarter, and they managed to fight their way back into this one. If they had not started off shooting as poorly as they did, might have been able to turn this ship around. Yeah, I'm having trouble like actually recapping this one in the way that I would otherwise, because I have so many thoughts at the same time, and I can't really decipher between them. Another thing that really pissed me off, everybody and their mother on Bulls Twitter was blaming fouls. And don't get me wrong, I initially tweeted the refs were on, if they were on anyone's side, they were on the Bulls side. I don't think that was entirely fair. I think that was accurate of the first 3-ish quarters. The fourth quarter, the foul calls definitely turned more against the Bulls. My biggest problem with that, though, is I'd probably come around to just saying they were basically even. But my problem is so many people, and this is a universal problem. It goes far beyond just this game. The last thing on your mind is like what represents the game as a whole. So like the fourth quarter is the only thing that happened, so that means that the Bulls were getting fucked the whole game on fouls, which was not true. There were 3 main calls. One of them was an and one for Giannis on DeMar that probably should have been a charge. There was Patrick Williams boxing Giannis out, and Giannis basically just got on top of him, and for whatever reason was called a foul on Patrick Williams. A lot of people argue that foul should have been called on Giannis. I think not really a foul either, because I don't think either, it's just kind of a weird thing that happened. I don't think there was any illegal contact. It was just weird. But even if it was a foul on Giannis, people are arguing that swings the game, because that means Giannis gets out of the game. But it was the last 2 minutes of the game, and completely fucking perplexing to me, Mike Budenholzer takes Giannis out of the game for the last 2 minutes. And Giannis had foul trouble, but it's the last 2 minutes of the game, and he was playing before. He played from like the 5-minute mark to the 2-minute mark, and then he didn't play the rest. Now, I realized he took him out in expecting it to be one possession, but then the Bucks just kind of handled business, so Mike Budenholzer let it flow. But either way, Giannis fouling out there, it doesn't change the outcome of the game, because Giannis wasn't on the floor at the end of the game to begin with. Giannis didn't make Zach LaVine take a bad shot. Giannis didn't make Vucevic miss a layup. He might have been in the vicinity of that shot. Either way, it was a point-blank layup that Vucevic should have made, but that was all within the last couple of minutes of the game. Either way, don't think that foul call or lack thereof was the determining factor. It was not going to turn the tides of this game, even though I'm very happy the Bulls stepped up defensively and really returned to their identity that they had in the regular season that made them such a good defensive team. If your team shoots 30% from the field, you don't get to blame the refs. You just don't. There were a lot of offensive fouls called against the Bucks in this one that easily could have gone as no calls. Like, so many. And sure, they were fouls. And you look at the replay, they were fouls. But they were the type of things that teams get away with all the time. The type of things that the Bulls got away with plenty when the Bucks were not in the first couple of quarters of this game. So to act like this was just the Bulls should have easily won and the refs just completely reamed them, it was not accurate. 9 times out of 10 when fans are complaining about refs, they're over fucking exaggerating and treating it like the refs are the end all be all of every fucking basketball game, and it pisses me off. Another thing that pissed me off was some Billy Donovan rotation fuckery, although it wasn't too bad. Ayo Dosunmu playing 8 minutes in this game is detestable to me. Tristan Thompson playing at all is detestable to me. Not to mention, Tristan Thompson was in the game. He played poorly. He got subbed out, and they went for Derrick Jones Jr. at center, which I have been praying for them to go back to for the last couple of months. It goes well. It's one of the best defensive moments. It was one of the best sequences, a couple of minutes of defense the Bulls had. It was like towards the start of the second quarter when they started to make a bit of a comeback. And then he went back to Tristan Thompson later on. Made no fucking sense to me. He ended up going 10 players deep in the rotation. Don't do that. For real. I don't know why Coby White plays more minutes than Ayo Dosunmu when Ayo Dosunmu is much better than Coby White. I don't know why Javonte Green plays more minutes than Ayo Dosunmu when Ayo Dosunmu is much better than Javonte Green. I don't know why Javonte Green plays over Derrick Jones Jr. to begin with when Derrick Jones is a much better defender, and the 3-point percentage difference is negligible because either way, both of them shoot such a crazy low volume, and at least Derrick has crazy gravity around the basket because of how much of a dunk threat he is. Either way, that's been a thing whole year, so I can't even just chalk it up to just this game. But, yeah, some stuff from Billy Donovan's rotation pissed me off, especially because he put up a lineup out there with Derrick Jones Jr. and Tristan Thompson on the floor at the same time with DeMar, and then it was Coby White and Alex Caruso. I think that was the lineup. It's an awful lineup. He put that lineup out there right after the Bulls took a 5-point lead. Right after they took that lead, Coby White hit a 3 and he had a really nice drive. They make a substitution. That lineup comes out. Coby White stays in, obviously. And that lineup sucks ass. Giannis comes in, goes on a nice little run, turns it back into the favor of the Bucks, and that lineup change right there. If you just put a good lineup out there, I genuinely think that has more to do with how this game goes than some fucking foul call that didn't go the Bulls' way. Anyways, this is a hard game to describe. It was a very much an anomaly, and a lot of non-Bulls fans were talking about how this game felt like a fucking fever dream. I would say that's probably accurate. I was just so locked into every second of this game that it definitely didn't quite feel that way to me. It's very rare for me to like not look at my phone for like an hour, but like even during the commercials I was too focused. It was like I was actually there. It was some stupid bullshit like he thinks he's a part of the team type shit. I know I'm not, but like I was so focused. It's like if I focus more on the game, that means things will go better. But overall, I'm happy with how the Bulls played. I'm not happy they didn't win this game, but they came out competitive. They came out in a way that suggests that what I thought when I talked about the preview for this series on a video that's uploaded before this one, I said that I thought it was really within the realm of possibility that they returned to their old ways because they were having practices resembling training camps. This is a report from them, and a lot of internal meetings trying to return to that old identity. And that's exactly what happened today. Best defense the Bulls have played this calendar year. In the year of our Lord, 2022. So I'm happy, ultimately. But also pissed off because of the shit that I saw. Like, the Bulls had the 5th worst record in the NBA post-All-Star break. And they came into this game, played a team that could be a title favorite in some people's eyes. It isn't. They are in mine. They're my pick right now. Although I go back and forth constantly. It might be the Suns tomorrow. To have been that bad and then show up to this game and then give Milwaukee a genuine scare, I don't know how you don't walk away from that relatively positive, at least as much as you can, again, in a loss in the playoffs. This is the first playoff game I have seen from my team in my adult life. I have reasons to be overcritical, but the shit that I saw today from Bulls Twitter pissed me off. Anyways, god damn it, I am 15 minutes into this fucking thing. I'm not even going to talk about the Hawks and Heat game, okay? It was a fucking disaster for Atlanta. Trae Young got locked the fuck up. Miami had some really nice offensive sets, especially for Jimmy Butler on backdoor cuts. Of course, the main play that stands out to everyone is that alley-oop that he had. I think it was Gabe Vincent who threw him the ball or something like that. There's not much to say. I talked about Atlanta potentially upsetting Miami in the video I uploaded earlier today. There's no fucking way if Trae Young shoots that bad that's going to happen. Also, speaking of videos that I've uploaded today, a video over on my main channel going over the future of the Timberwolves versus Grizzlies series is out. Go watch that if you haven't yet. It was a 6 out of 10 and it randomly plummeted to a 10 out of 10, which makes me wonder what the hell YouTube's algorithm decided to do with it, because that is never something that happens. So go check that out. But I guess last but not least, I can talk about the Celtics-Nets game. Another bit of a fever dream of a game. It's weird because this was a game that was like neck and neck, but it felt like Boston was in control for the most part. An absolute amazing performance from this starting lineup outside of Daniel Tice, 20, 20, 23, and 31 respectively. Of course, Jason Tatum hit the game winner. That's the headline of the entire night. And Kyrie Irving had a 39, I thought it was 38, 39-point game. Kevin Durant struggled from the field. Nick Claxton played good defense on Jason Tatum, which was not something that I anticipated. And Goran Dragic was a huge deal off the bench. He was like 5 for 6 from the field in the first half. To talk about just some surprises to me, Nick Claxton, as I mentioned, his defense on Jason Tatum. I talked about their potential Jason Tatum matchup, and I said that Nick Claxton wouldn't really have the perimeter skills to keep up with Tatum. He is a switchable big, but not like so switchable that he's not a big. Like, he still is not primarily a perimeter defender, but he did a really, really good job on him. So, you know, can't say that I expected that. And then Goran Dragic, I completely fucking forgot that Goran Dragic is on this team. So I did not factor that in whatsoever in my Celtics versus Nets preview. It doesn't change my prediction, but I should have mentioned it for sure. Same goes for Patty Mills, but the only thing I would have said is the same principle with Patty Mills applies as it does to Seth Curry. Like, just don't leave the guy open. As for how Kevin Durant was defended, honestly, a lot of people were like, Kevin Durant's not going to play this bad all the time, so they're going to bounce back. But one, Kyrie's not going to average 39 for this series on 60% shooting. And two, they defended Kevin Durant in a way that I think is, what's the word? I'm trying to think of a fancy word for this. Basically, can be repeated. And obviously, I don't think Kevin Durant's going to shoot 37% from the series, but I don't think it's like an automatic, like, oh, Kevin Durant's just going to turn around and drop some heaters, and that means the series is going to turn the tides just from that. I don't think it's as simple as that. Jason Tatum had a really good game, especially playmaking, especially in the first half. Al Horford was great, although he had a couple of embarrassing plays. Jaylen Brown was cool. Marcus Smart had himself a hell of a third quarter. He's also probably going to win Defensive Player of the Year, so that's pretty fucking cool. And yeah, that is really all I have to say. I probably would have had more to say if I had recorded the commentary immediately after. But this Bulls game just completely jumbled my brain and kind of took over everything. This was the best game of the playoffs so far, but I don't have a whole lot to say about it. The last play was chaos incarnate. Like, it was so much going on. It was like, what the fuck is happening? And then Tatum hit a game winner. It was like, oh shit, it's fucking over. Yeah. People are giving Kyrie Irving shit for flipping off a Celtics fan that was cursing at him. He was completely within his right to do that. Quit being a fucking baby. Like, people were calling Kyrie a baby for it. You're a baby for caring that he flipped a guy off. It's not a big deal. Grow up. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Yeah, goodbye.